What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Dominic Arena here with another episode of DGA Live. Hanging with me, as always, Miss Chris.
Hey.
And as actually, before we get started, I would say we're back here in Phoenix, Arizona. If you saw the episode last week, we were out in New York City. We didn't do kind of a topics thing. We just kind of gave you guys an update what was going on with the channel while we were out in New York City. But we are back, Phoenix, Arizona. And it is October 3rd, and as promised, we're going to kind of make this month all about Halloween, because it's my favorite season. We're talking horror movies today. So, what we decided to do is, let's pop this up right here. BAM! Horror movies! Top 10 horror movies. Like we've done in the past, we've both created lists and told each other we're not going to show each other the list until we reveal it on the channel to see if we have any likenesses. Now, before we get started, real quick, horror movies, what's your favorite subtopic? Like hauntings, slasher flicks, thrillers?
That's a hard one for me. I absolutely love the zombie movies.
Yeah.
Anything zombie, that was a hard... for me, kind of...
Yeah, I'm with you.
I love vampire movies.
Okay.
I just thought of one I should have added to my list.
Yeah, there you go. Honorable mention. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so for me it's slasher flicks. Mm-hmm. I love...
I like the slasher ones too because I feel like those to me are more scary because it's almost real life. You know what I mean? Like something like that could possibly happen.
Yeah, it depends on what...
So to me, it's more scary. Like the hauntings and stuff, yeah, that's scary, but I don't know. Like, could it be real life? Absolutely. But the slasher, you got your serial killer, your murderer.
Right.
That's more common.
Yeah, it just depends on what route they take. Some of the slasher films, they get real supernatural with it.
Right.
Like Freddy Krueger and
right.
shit. But, yeah, mine's got to be slasher flicks and stuff. So when I was making my top 10 list, basically, it was so tough. Because there's the horror franchises go on forever.
Right.
And picking one, or picking a top 10, I basically picked the top 10 that was the most influential to me as a kid. Like movies that scared the shit out of me as a kid, and movies I still enjoy today with a ton of honorable mentions.
I did the same.
So there's a lot of shit that got left out.
Yes.
But, you got to cut it somewhere.
Which makes it really hard.
Yeah, so without further ado, we're going to go right into this. Top 10 horror movies. No rules. The only rule is you can't pick a whole series.
Okay, and I didn't.
Right, you can't go like,
the
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, which made it hard, because if I came across one that was a series, I picked, I guess you could say my favorite one out of that series, but I'll explain when we get to those how I picked that one.
I got you. Let's rock and roll on this. So... you always kick it off. Okay. So go ahead, number 10.
So number 10, I picked this one because this is one that I think I watched a lot in my younger days. Scream. The Scream.
Scream is a great flick.
I just picked the first one. I feel like the first ones in series typically tend to be the best as it is. But not always. Not always.
Most of the time, not all the time.
Yeah.
I made Scream an honorable mention. It definitely deserves a top 10 spot, though. I remember.
I'll be back.
What's your favorite scary movie, CC?
Right.
Or
I'll be right back, something like that.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. And he's walking out of the room.
Right. The Wes Craven did that in what was it, 99?
I didn't write the year.
I want to say 99. I remember when they hit the theater, and it was such a breath of fresh air because the slasher movies dipped.
Yeah.
They disappeared, and it's like fuck. There was a lot of haunting movies. The Child's Play franchise was going strong, but going right to video. So when Wes Craven came out and did a realistic horror movie that could actually happen, no supernatural shit. When the killer dies, he fucking dies, and the only way to bring him back was a different killer.
Yeah.
It was such a breath of fresh air. It did phenomenal at the box office. I love the Scream movies.
The funny thing is that movie scared the living shit out of my sister. And I have a quick little story. I know we got to keep this reasonably timed. But, so after that movie came out, my mom ended up buying that costume for one Halloween or something back in the day. My sister absolutely hated the mask. There was something about the mask that she just didn't love. Well, I grew up in a really small town in Nevada, Ely, Nevada. Well, my sister had a boyfriend that lived in, it's like a small town. It slipped my mind off the top of my head, but about 30 minutes outside of where we lived. And so one night we were out there, me, her little friend Narisha, and then I drove them to go visit their boyfriends, Timmy and Dusty at the time, right? And so as we were leaving, it's dark. It's probably midnight by this time.
Okay.
And so Dusty and Timmy had this plan that they were going to have this mask. And they told me that when I was driving down the main road, and mind you, at that time at midnight, there's no one out. The little city's a ghost town. To slow down, and he would run out in front of the truck. So I get there, I've got Narisha here, my sister in the other, passenger seat, and I'm driving, I slow down, and of course they run out. Literally, they didn't speak to me the whole ride home. They were pissed off at me, not even the boys. They were mad at me.
Right.
So I had to drive home almost alone because they were crying and pissed off at me in the car. Such a great movie though. It was really scary.
My number 10 is a movie a lot of people don't like. And they're gonna go, oh shit, really? That's in your top 10? Is the Blair Witch Project.
I hated him.
I loved it because it was the first time I was in the theater. Saw that in the theater. It was the first time the coining of the genre mockumentary.
Right.
I'd never seen that before, where it's filmed like a documentary.
Right.
And leaving the theater, it was pondering in my mind. We talked about it and like, hey, everyone was like, I wasn't that crazy about it. It's too shaky.
That's what I didn't like about it. It made me nauseous watching it.
But the thing is, right when we left the theater, I talked to a couple of my buddies. There was a forest preserve down the street. And I said, well, let's go hang out in the forest preserve. We just watched the movie, and everybody was scared to do it.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like...
It's where it kind of took place.
Right, you just hear the little rocks banging and the shit rustling in the trees. And it scared the shit out of us walking through the forest in the middle of the night. So it was very influential on me.
Yeah. Right.
Second one sucked ass. Third one sucked. Now the reboot.
I liked that one. That one was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I don't mind the reboot.
Because we recently watched that.
Yeah, that was like a year ago or something.
Something like that.
So yeah, made my top 10 just because it was the first time I seen a mockumentary.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it.
I thought about it. It didn't even make an honorable mention just because the shakiness. I can't watch them, and we've watched a couple that are like that, and I can't. It's terrible.
Go number 9.
All right, number 9. I love this one. It's kind of kooky in a way. 81.
Okay.
The Evil Dead.
Love The Evil Dead. It's in my top 10. I'll tell you when I get to it. That was a tough one, picking 1 or 2. And then Army of Darkness.
Right. Yeah.
Army of Darkness is a great film. I got the chance to meet Bruce Campbell back in the late 90s at a book signing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I didn't even own his book, but I'm like, fuck, dude, it's Bruce Campbell.
Right.
So yeah, Evil Dead is in mine. I'll tell you when we get to it.
Yeah, such a great movie.
Great flick.
I could watch that.
Anytime.
Yeah,
there's a little comedy into it.
Right.
And the reboot was scary as fuck.
Yeah,
Out of all the reboots, it's probably my favorite reboot.
Well, and isn't that where technically Ash versus the Evil Dead that TV show spins off of that?
It's 30 years later.
Right.
Yeah. From the original series. Right.
Which is also a good TV show if you guys haven't seen that.
Yeah, funny as shit.
Yeah.
My number 9, I went with Freddy vs. Jason.
Okay.
2003. This was iconic to me. It's not a great film by any means, but if you remember at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, which made an honorable mention, by the way, when Jason's getting pulled into
Freddy's
hell,
hand comes up
at the end
and grabs.
At the end, it's the next day. You see the mask chilling on the dirt.
Yep.
A dog comes up to it, sniffs it, right? Books away. Freddy's glove pops out of the ground, grabs that mask, and pulls it down, which started the rumor. It was never set in stone for this film to come out, and it took over a decade for that film to come out.
Wow.
So, like, when it finally hit in 2003, I was like, it's finally fucking here.
Yeah.
So I was stoked about it, and it's pretty evil.
It is.
It's pretty good.
It's a great one.
Go 8.
Okay, number 8. This one is more recent, 2008. The first time I saw this, I watched this movie alone. scared the living shit out of me. And I think it's actually based off a true story. They made a sequel, and the sequel was good, but The Strangers.
The Strangers is good.
Yeah. The first one, I think, was better than the second one. The second one was good.
It was okay, yeah.
But, man, something, like, those kids were fucked up.
Right. And it's very realistic.
Well, I think it's based off of true events.
True events, yeah. They probably Hollywood it.
Right.
You know,
for sure.
Bump it up a notch.
But, man, I should not have watched that one alone, but I did.
I didn't put that even as a mention because I totally forgot about that film. But I own it. Mm-hmm. I own it like on DVD or something. But yeah, good choice on that.
Thanks.
My number 8 is one of my all-time faves. 1988, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my, I forgot about that.
Great movie. Now it's almost considered comedy.
Right.
But there's blood in it. They turn people into cotton candy cocoons and they drink the blood. They talked about making a sequel for this movie 1,000 times in Fangoria magazine. Never happened. I think it was done by, I forgot who did it. The Chido brothers or something like that. That theme song.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but
God,
yeah.
Killer Clowns.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, Killer Clowns, classic. 7.
Okay. This one, I think I like it so much because I watched it a ton of times. Stephen King's The Shining.
Shining's a great film. I thought about some Stephen King, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I didn't make an honorable mention for me. I do have some honorable mentions with Stephen King that we'll talk about in a little bit. But great film.
Oh, such a great one.
Great
Classic.
Film. My number 7 is Evil Dead. So I told you we get to it eventually. We already talked about that. What's your 6?
My 6 is Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984.
The original?
The original one.
Fucking
the
bad.
one that had Johnny Depp in it. I think it was his first movie.
It was.
Such a great movie.
Right, it was. He doesn't get recognition for it. Nobody goes, "Oh, Johnny Depp from."
Well, yeah, you don't even realize it until now. You go back and watch it, and you're like, "Oh shit, that's Johnny Depp." Didn't realize he was in this.
Yeah, he's in it. Now, that's in my top 10. I'll tell you when we get to it. Absolutely love the first one. Love the first one. Second one, you can fucking toss it out the window. It gets good again on the third. Fourth is decent. Freddy's Dead's good. The whole franchise is great. They're Robert Englund and Heather Langenkamp are talking about making another one.
Yeah,
because of the success the Halloween reboot had, or the Halloween 40 years later. Mm-hmm. Did so well at the box office and actually brought the Halloween franchise to the #1 horror franchise, beating out Friday the 13th, which was last year.
Right.
Robert Englund says he's got 1, maybe 2 more left in him.
Right, yeah. And, I understand.
I'm like, do it!
It's a lot of makeup, a lot of time, and...
Yeah, that reboot was garbage.
Right.
I did not like the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot. You can keep that. My number 6 is probably the oldest one on my list. Going back to 74, I put the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I saw that when I was really young, and it scared the fuck out of me.
I forgot about those. Those are definitely a top 10.
Think about it, too. If you watch any movies that were filmed in the 70s and stuff, and you kind of put yourself in that mindset, because we're all desensitized now.
Oh, right.
With video games and everything, we're desensitized. Nothing scares us as much as it used to back in the day. And that was based on Ed Gein?
Right, again, it's true story.
I think it was based on Ed Gein. Yeah, so it was based on the murders.
Where he skinned the people and was making the lamps out of the skin, and I don't remember what else. All kinds of stuff. Scary as shit,
fucking scary. And that franchise went on forever, too. A couple reboots that were decent. Yeah.
I don't think there was one in the franchise that I hated. I thought they were all really good.
Decent, and they were all their own films in a way.
Right.
Yeah. What are we on?
Number 5.
Halfway down, what you got?
I did Halloween 1978. So
love Halloween.
That's the first one.
Yep.
And again, it's a franchise that has so many of them.
Right.
And again, I picked the first one because I felt like
it's the best.
Right. Well, then it's too hard to choose. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I love. We'll talk about Halloween. It's on my list too. So what we got? We have 2 in common. Actually, 3.
We have 3 in common.
My number 5, smack dab in the middle, 1988, Child's Play. The original. I know they rebooted this. Now, I haven't seen the reboot. I'm dying to see it because Mark Hamill is the voice of Chucky, who's one of my favorite voice actors. You know, Luke Skywalker.
Right.
I was a little disappointed that they didn't get the original guy because you're like Chucky has that distinct voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that first one was fucking scary. Chucky scared the shit out of me as a kid. You know what I mean? Little things scared the shit out of me. You know what I mean? Big fucking beasts with axes and fucking chainsaws. I could take them. You know what I mean? Little fucking dolls, get the fuck out of here. I want to kick. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm not a doll person. I've never really liked them. They're kind of creepy to me in the first place. So. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely in my top 10. What's your?
All right, number 4 is another Stephen King.
Yep.
Pet Sematary.
Oh, good one.
Absolutely love this one. I just remember having nightmares after watching this as a kid, you know, where Church comes back and he's killing people, and then Gage and he's slicing. I just remember the scene where he slices the Achilles tendon.
The tendon, yeah.
Oh, and then they did the reboot of it, which was actually really good.
They put a twist on it, too.
They did put a twist on it, and it was really good. It scared the shit out of my mother.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Yeah, I was never scared by the Stephen King movies, but I was always into them. You know what I mean?
They were good.
They're good stories. You know what I mean? My number 4 is a film that I owned back on VHS, and I cannot find it for the life of me on DVD or Blu-ray. 1993, Dead Alive. It was a Peter Jackson film.
We've talked about this.
Gory
I haven't seen it.
Fucking film. Gory film. If you get a chance, look up the 1993 Dead Alive, because I think somebody tried redoing it. That last 15 minutes of that film is the bloodiest movie you've ever seen.
And if any of our local friends have this movie, can we borrow it?
Let me know. If you have this movie or know where I could get it, hit me up in the comments and tell me, because I adore this movie and I only had it on VHS.
We've looked for it over and over, and we just can't seem to find it anywhere.
Yeah, I've tried ordering it, and I'm not paying no $150 a copy.
Yeah, no.
So I love it. It's not that good. What are we on?
3.
Top 3.
The original It.
Honorable mention for me. I love the original It. That's another reboot, which I thought did a good job.
Absolutely. We haven't even seen the second half of it, so that's coming up. We gotta get that.
A lot of people forget, though, because I've been talking to people that have gone and seen It Chapter 2. They forget or didn't realize that the original It was made for TV.
Right.
It wasn't a movie that you could go to the theater.
So that means there was commercials and...
There was commercials, and it spanned over the course of, I think, 3 days.
Right.
And because it was made for TV, they had to dumb it down.
Well, Stephen King did a lot of that, too. A lot of made for TV.
Yes, The Stand.
The Stand was another one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, so once the movie aired on TV... and it had its its commercial time and all that stuff. And then they released it as a solid film. Hence why it's so long. Right. But oh man, Tim Curry. Yeah. Is very wise and deep. You know what I mean? Just Georgie. He was awesome in that movie, man. Right. Tim Curry's a fucking badass. Yep. You know he was the devil too in Legend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's the fucking devil in Legend.
Wait, maybe I did. I don't know. Yeah.
With the big ass horns.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, he's a freaking madman. My number 3 is, I'm wearing the shirt. You know what it is?
Friday the 13th.
You know what part? It's kind of a giveaway right there.
Is it part 3?
Part 3!
We just watched that last night.
I love part 3. I've probably seen part 3 25 times. It's the one where Richard Brooker, I think is his name, played Jason. Kane Hodder is my favorite Jason, by far. His walk, his stagger. Kane Hodder is my fucking Jason. He's the only one to play Jason more than once. But Richard Brooker was the first one to bear the mask. The hockey mask. You know what I'm saying? And because Jason wasn't even in the first one. Right. Except he's mentioned as a kid and he pops out of the fucking lake.
The water, yeah.
Right. The second one, he's in with the bag on his head. And that takes that Packanack. And then the third one is at Higgins Haven. And the murders are great in it. There's some decent cinema photography where it's across the lake and he's up in the window. And I love the theme song to that. I saw it in 3D. And I'm talking old school 3D where you wear the red and blue glasses. Yeah. Old school 3D. That Friday the 13th sticks out to me the most. I love that one. Top 3.
Nice.
Number 2.
Okay, so this one is The only reason why this didn't make number 1 is because my number. I'll tell you why when we get to my number 1. But this is my all-time absolute favorite franchise. Do you know what it is? I own all of them.
Franchise?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
So I did the first one, 1979. Okay. I love them. Oh my gosh.
I skipped that because anytime I think of aliens, and you're right, it is horror. It's sci-fi horror.
It is sci-fi horror.
And I always classify aliens as sci-fi.
Oh, yeah,
so,
I guess.
But no, it's horror, though.
Yeah, it is. And I guess the reason...
That first one was scary.
No, yeah, where he pops out of the chest and...
Really everyone.
But like that first initial, you didn't know what was going to happen. They got the guy on the table and all of a sudden, bam.
Right.
You know what I mean? But And
did you know when they filmed that, the actors
didn't know
about it?
Yeah, so they get the true reaction.
Yeah, the thing popped out of the chest, scared the fuck out of the actors.
And the funny thing is I'm not a huge sci-fi fan. I love the aliens. I own every single one of them. I love every single one of them. But again, I just put the first one because...
Yeah, Alien,
right, 1979.
Yeah, such a great film.
I
didn't even think of that because that in the back of my mind that's like sci-fi, but it is. You're right. It's sci-fi horror. My number 2, and this is where I told you we get back to it. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Had to have that in my top 3. That first one scared the fuck out of me. Right? What's worse than like, you always talk about like, hey, there's a creature under my bed. Mom, look under my bed. Mom, close the closet door. This motherfucker's in your dreams.
Right, so you can't, it's not like you can't just stay awake. Like, you have to go to sleep eventually.
There's been times, I remember popping the no-dos and shit like that. And, and they do that in the films and stuff. But you can't stay awake forever. So eventually you will go to sleep. And this motherfucker's going to get you. and Robert Englund. His one-liners, welcome to prime time, bitch. He's swearing at his victim. I love him because... Before that, we didn't have any talking slashers. Michael Myers never talked. Jason never talked. Mm-hmm. Freddy comes along and he's fucking swearing and partying and fucking with his victims. Great film.
Right.
Great film.
The one scene that I remember is, and I believe it's Johnny Depp, isn't he the one that ends up in the waterbed?
He gets sucked into the bed.
That scares the hell out of me. It just...
Yep.
The thought of drowning and then you wake up, you go to sleep, and then you're in your waterbed, that just... I don't know. That's always fucked me up.
They blow his blood up to the ceiling, and it's like 10,000 gallons worth of blood.
Right.
But yeah, it's great. What's your? Actually, I'm gonna give you my number 1 because you kind of know it. Halloween.
Okay.
I put that as my number 1, 1978. I think that everything about that movie set the bar for slasher films today. 1978. This is the movie that inspired Friday the 13th. When they wrote Friday the 13th, it was actually called Camp Blood, and I think it was Victor Miller or one of the writers said, "Hey, I really want to incorporate Friday the 13th into the movie," so they had to write it in.
Right.
But it did so well that they wanted to make a slasher flick with an iconic character, and they started off with the mother, and they were going to call it quits after that. And then they brought Jason into the series and made him legendary. Who doesn't know who Jason Voorhees is?
Right.
I know people... we play the video game a lot, right? The Jason Voorhees video game. And be talking to some of these guys on the headsets online.
And they don't know anything. They
never saw the film, but they all know who Jason is.
Right.
And I remember sitting there bullshitting with probably somebody 12 years old and trying to explain to him, no, his mother was the killer. And then he comes back in the second one. He doesn't get the hockey mask till the third one. And then he just gets more powerful as the franchise. Eventually he ended up in space, which, you fucking keep that one, Jason X. Mm-hmm. But Halloween set the fucking bar. John Carpenter wrote all the fucking music for it. Nick Castle, I believe, was the original. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. Nick Castle was the original Shape. That's what they called Michael Myers. And then he reprised his role in the 40th anniversary of it, which I thought was great. I didn't even know he was alive. But, oh man, everything, the cinematography of it, the realism of it. Because, he's wearing a mask and shit, but he only kills like 4 or 5 people. That's it. So his body count's pretty low in the first one. But that's another series that got fucking far-fetched. Yeah. As it went on, you know what I mean? He goes down in 3,000 bullets and he's fine. So, but that first film, Scary as shit.
Yep.
Scary as shit. What's your one?
All right. The only reason why this one made my number one is because it is my all-time most scariest movie to me. So scary that I refuse to watch it to this day.
What
What is it?
Candyman?
Candyman.
Candyman?
I watched it as a kid. My best friend Samantha and I would watch it. We'd get so scared.
Right.
And then finally I was like, nope, never again, never watching it, right? And then I even tried about 10 years ago, maybe a little longer. I'm like, all right, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it one more time.
Right.
No, it still scared the shit out of me.
And
I refuse. I will never watch it.
I own
ever. It. And we'll never watch it.
I own it.
So get rid of it.
Yeah.
I will not watch it.
I didn't like the sequels. I didn't even know there were sequels. That's how much. Yeah, I wasn't crazy with the bees and all that shit. But the first one, yeah, it was kind of like a new take on Bloody Mary.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And then I heard that they're rebooting that film with the original actor.
Oh, hell no. He does commercials now, I think, for Allstate or something.
Is it Allstate?
I don't remember. Maybe not Allstate, but I thought an insurance company. And just looking at him,
yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, he's a creepy motherfucker.
It's so scary. And
creepy motherfucker.
That's why it made my number one, because to me, that's my all-time scariest film.
Yeah, I got you. We're going a little long on this video, and we apologize for that. But, I mean, shit, it's horror movies. We got to talk about this shit. Any honorable mentions?
Oh, I have a ton. My number one I just forgot about. If you guys have not seen this movie, it's so scary. Lights Out.
That was scary.
That was scary.
Yeah. Scenes in it were scary.
The Sixth Sense. I did the Saws.
Saws are good.
Carrie is another great one.
Classic. Original Carrie.
The original Carrie. The movie Orphan, I think that got really bad reviews, but it's actually a really good movie.
I wasn't sold on that.
Misery, which is another Stephen King with Kathy Bates.
Yeah, not my favorite Stephen King.
But that's a great one. Yeah. And then the last one I did, Day of the Dead. Good and one. Then 30 Days of Night was the other one I was thinking.
30 Days of Night was gorier than I thought.
And that one, I watched that with my dad once. But such a great one.
Couple honorable mentions that we didn't mention already. 1985's The Reanimator. I think that's just a classic film with the guy they inject you and that shit. 87's Hellraiser. That Hellraiser was another series that just kept fucking going.
I was never a fan.
But I love the original three. And It and all that stuff. Another film I need to buy, because I had it back on VHS, is 1982's Basket Case. You ever see that? Fucked up movie, man. Great flick, though. Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy's Dead. Night of the Living Dead. And I know that's been remade numerous different ways. But that original black and white one from I think it was the 60s. It's still a good watch, even today. Yeah. The Exorcist.
Yeah, that one to me though, scared everyone. I never really found it scary.
It had its moments.
But maybe back in the day for that. But you know what's another good one I was just thinking of? And you know what? The Gate. Remember the Gate?
The Gates, yeah.
That one was scary as hell.
Was that the one where you play the record backwards and it opens the portal?
And it's in the backyard and then the blood's going up the walls.
Yeah.
That was a great one.
I remember that. Yeah, there's a ton of them. They Live with Hot Rod with Roddy Piper.
One, that's the one with the glasses.
Right.
That was okay to me.
Yeah. Not scary, but it's
more sci-fi-ish. Kind of.
Yeah, but they're like zombies and they're all this other shit. And you got fucking Rowdy Piper in it, he's just
right. I mean,
badass.
I could go on and on with the scary movies.
Yeah, we could go on forever, and I apologize for this running longer than normal. But that's it. Let me know in the comments your guys' favorite horror movies, because I know this could go on forever.
I could do it. I really could do a top 100.
Hit us up on Twitter, Goat5150 and Crystal. Arena5150 is my Instagram account. This weekend, on Saturdays, we do game night till midnight, so hit us up on there, and you can see all our posts with retro gaming and even Xbox Live type shit. But I think that's gonna do it. We will catch you next week, and we're gonna go over a kind of a controversial subject that I want to hit up. Something about Halloween. So if you we're not gonna spoil it for you yet. You'll have to watch next week. But until then, man, we'll catch you guys then. So peace and hair grease. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.